Did you know that one of the most famous historical art movements of all time may have come from an artist that was high on marijuana? Or that the Queen of England herself, you'd never guess which one, may have used cannabis for her own personal pleasure? People, including famous historical figures, have been using marijuana for medicinal and recreational purposes for literally thousands of years. In this video rundown, we take a look at 8 of our favorite historical figures who used marijuana. Number 1. The next time someone tries to tell you that marijuana kills brain cells, just explain that Carl Sagan, one of the most brilliant scientific minds of all time, was a staunch proponent. Regarded as one of the most intelligent people ever, Sagan published in excess of 600 scientific papers, as well as edited, authored, and co-authored over 20 books. Like all scientists, Sagan loved to experiment, and it's known that his experimentations did not stop with cannabis. In 1969, he actually wrote an essay on the benefits of marijuana, along with details of how it felt to be high. Of course, because cannabis was highly illegal in the United States at the time, Sagan wrote the essay anonymously as Mr. X, though he did admit marijuana helped improve his appreciation of art. Number 2. He was a legendary French writer, best known for his books The Three Musketeers and The Count of Monte Cristo. Yes, few people know it, but Alexandre Dumas was apparently quite a fan of hash, and is even rumored to have co-founded the Club des Assassins in Paris, aka the Club of Hash Eaters. It was Dumas' opinion that cannabis expanded the minds of writers, helping them to achieve literary greatness. Given the fact that his published works total over 100,000 pages, it's hard to disagree with his presumption. Number 3. The Virgin Queen probably wasn't a lady to be trifled with. She ruled the Kingdom of England and Ireland for almost half a century and had little problem executing those who crossed her. In 1563, she ordered landowners to grow hemp if they had over 60 acres of land, or else they would receive a fine. The idea was to increase fiber production to help expand the navy, but there's also been suggestions the Queen used cannabis for pleasure too. Legend has it, she kept cannabis at her palace for social gatherings, and was allegedly a proponent for therapeutic use as well. Number 4. Pablo Picasso co-founded the Cubist movement and is indisputably regarded as one of the most important artistic figures of the 20th century. We're guessing he must have been a fan of energizing sativa strains, considering his astonishingly prolific career and the dozens upon dozens of famous works he created. It's even said that the entire Cubist movement was born out of Picasso's perceptions of art while he was high. Definitely far from a historical fact, but it's a pretty interesting thought to consider, and if you look at something like his famous Guernica painting, it does make a lot of sense. Number 5. John F. Kennedy was the second youngest American president ever, and also the subject of one of the world's greatest conspiracy theories. But few people know that Kennedy used cannabis to help relieve chronic lower back pain. And actually, he's just one of at least 11 American presidents that are known to have experimented with marijuana.
Oh, really?
Number 6. As the longest reigning monarch in British history, Victoria reigned as Queen of the United Kingdom for over 63 years.
Wow.
As was common at the time, it's said the Queen used the herb to ease the severe pain of menstrual cramps. In fact, royal physician Sir Russell Reynolds was said to have prescribed the plant to her, as it was recognized as one of the most valuable medicines of the time. Considering this took place in the early 19th century, it's surprising that cannabis legalization in the UK continues to fall on deaf ears among most in the present-day political sphere. Number 7. William Shakespeare is arguably the best writer in the English language, and he's certainly the most famous. But did you know historians have found traces of cannabis in some of his clay pipes at his Stratford estate? The famed British playwright even highlighted a noted weed in one of his sonnets, and to be quite frank, it isn't hard to imagine him being high given the content of some of his lesser-known work. Number 8. James Monroe was the 5th President of the United States, holding office from 1817 to 1825. He fought in the War of Independence and is considered by many to be the nation's last presidential founding father. In the Great Book of Hemp, author Rowan Robinson describes how Monroe was introduced to cannabis during his time as an ambassador in France. And according to the literature, Monroe actually used cannabis avidly up until the time of his death, meaning he would have been using it in the early 19th century during his US presidency. Maybe if more US presidents used cannabis these days, there would be a lot fewer problems to deal with.
Oh yeah.
Well, that wraps it up for our list of famous historical figures who used marijuana. Do you have anyone to add? Did we leave any important famous cannabis users out? Feel free to let us know by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for weekly cannabis-related videos.